Good guys 1, bad guys 0.
The area's most wanted, shot, captured, handcuffed.
Today there was a shootout.
Tonight, after 37 hours of fear that started with a police chase, only WKBN 27 kept you covered on every development, including shots fired at officers and SWAT team searches.
Luis Cruz Ramos is off the streets of Mahoning County.
This was a violent individual.
And good evening, I'm Erica Thomas. We have team coverage tonight and video you'll see only on 27. Dave Sess has been at the scene since 1:15, where police shot and captured Ramos only blocks from a home they searched just yesterday. Let's go live to him now to see how it all went down. Dave?
Well, Erica, this is the scene right now, and it's a very busy scene still, 4 hours after everything happened this afternoon. I'm going to give you the live update right now. As you look over my shoulder, you'll see a lot of state troopers with a lot of very sophisticated equipment. You see all that stuff. We think it's like a mapping procedure to 3D map this thing out in case they need to present it in court. They'll figure out what happened, all the statistics, what was fired, how fast it went, all of that stuff that they'll need, and play a nice little video if they need to in court. I'll talk about some of the measurements and stuff they're doing in the background first. But what actually happened here? Let's get back to that story here on Maywood and Erie as the search for Luis Cruz Ramos is over. Yes, the chase for him spanned Camel, Boardman, and Youngstown, but this afternoon it all came to an end. He never left Youngstown in those 37 hours. U.S. Marshals and other members of the Violent Crimes Task Force had searched multiple homes, multiple wooded areas, even multiple nooks and crannies where he could have been hiding. But this afternoon, he was out in the open. They were tailing him on the south side of Youngstown, and the net finally closed around him.
So our officers chased him today. He pulled a gun on our officers, and we shot back. He is in stable condition, I believe, at St. Elizabeth's Hospital.
Now, Luis Cruz Ramos is being held on charges related to yesterday's chase when he shot at police while getting away. More charges will be coming related to the pursuit today, and ultimately he will pay a penalty for his actions with that teenager in Puerto Rico. Well, you can imagine what was going on in this neighborhood for the last 37 hours. It was very interesting. Today I talked to a neighbor who was telling me he heard the shots fired, ran out of his house, ran down the street, saw all the lights down here. It's a neighborhood that has been on edge certainly for a while, and today, well, they were relieved when police got their man. All right, so Ramos is in custody. I was talking with a neighbor in one of the houses actually across the street. You'll hear about that at 6 o'clock, what she was doing yesterday. The woman who called in to us to make sure that we knew that he had been caught. She was there, very relieved and grateful that he had been caught as well. So a lot of people in this neighborhood were certainly relieved that everything went down today. Of course, we've been following this story since yesterday around midnight when it happened as Luis Cruz Ramos walked out of that home, I told you, on Murray Avenue yesterday in Camel, into his white van. Camel police tried to pull him over on a traffic stop. That's when that chase and pursuit started. Ramos getting away then after a 2-hour chase, escaping into the woods at the Lakeland Cemetery there, eluding police through the night and into today until the early afternoon. It was just a long, long time for him to be out of supervision, out of control, where nobody knew where he was until finally today when it all ended.
And again, this was a violent individual who raped a 14-year-old.
Yes, that's that sexual aggression charge that we've been telling you about. Ramos himself, just a short man, 5'6", around 170 pounds. I believe 30 years old was what I told you he was yesterday. But again, he's in custody, shot in the leg. He's going to live. He's going to face all these charges against him now, and those will start here in Youngstown related to everything that's happened in the last 2 days. Live on the scene, south side of Youngstown. Dave Sess, 27 First News.
Dave, if you can still hear me, I have a question for you. I know you've been out there all afternoon. We were seeing video of Ramos when he was captured around 1:15. You said he'd been out there 37 hours. Last night when I left the station, it was pouring rain at midnight. Did it seem like he had been out in those elements that whole time?
Well, I don't think so, because there's a couple people who said their houses had been searched. They thought he might have been inside. He was not wearing shoes. I can't say that they hadn't taken them off of him because he'd been shot in the leg, but he had no shoes on when I got here on the scene today. He was still wearing clothes, so I didn't notice any conditions that he had braved through the elements and looked any worse for wear. So can't say if he had been hiding out in a shed or a house or anything like that, but it didn't look like a guy who had been on Naked and Afraid and lasted 21 days or 37 hours. He looked like he had somehow survived the elements and really hadn't been out in them too much. He was just a guy who was on the run trying to get away, and today that didn't happen. He got caught.
All right, Dave, thanks. Interesting perspective, something you'll only get if you were on the scene as Dave was today. We'll check back in with him within the next half hour. You can also watch our extended coverage that began with exclusive video on First News this morning yesterday. That's all online at WKBN.com.